On today's Locked On Phoenix Suns, there's a lot of things to get into. Jalen Green and Devin Booker, how will they coexist? We'll talk about it with my next guest. Is Devin Booker actually unhappy, or is he just more a serious version of himself? And Dillon the villain's presence, man, it's still being felt. Who will benefit the most from it? We'll talk about that and much more in this edition of Locked On Phoenix Suns.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Welcome back into Locked On Phoenix Suns. My name is Benjamin Garcia, host of the Ben Garcia Show mornings on YouTube, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 a.m. and a credentialed Phoenix Suns media member. Thanks for making Locked On Suns your first listen here on this beautiful Monday morning, Sunday night, wherever you may be listening, however you may be listening. Thank you so much for making me and the show a part of your day. Don't forget, Locked On Suns free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button to do it. Thousands, dare I say millions of Suns fans have already done. Become it every day and get locked on the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Joining me on today's show, we'll get to him in just a second because there's more important matters. Forgot, we got a sponsor of today's show. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets used across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. The second most important thing on this show, my guy, Greg Esposito, GM of PHNX, and as well as host of Southwest Bias. You see right there in his lower left-hand corner. What's up, Espo? How you doing, man?
I'm good. I know you get all choked up when I come on the program. And I appreciate it, man. It's great to have somebody admire me so much that he gets like that. So thank you.
You know, I oftentimes, not often, that's ridiculous. Sometimes I get some really just spectacular guests on that maybe other people might like more than me, but I like getting on with someone that I know I've got a little bit of chemistry with. You can poke me in the ribs, I can poke you in the ribs, and we'll both walk away happy and shaking hands. I can't do that with every guest. Let's say I got someone just mad, say Stephen A. Smith showed up on the show. That would never happen, but let's just say it did. We can't spar with each other. He'd sit there and probably be like, yep, my time's more important than this. I'm doing this guy a favor. I can't tell him he's a dummy for saying that Devin Booker is going to go to New York a year ago. It's not going to happen. So with you, it's just a little bit more fun and a little bit more relaxed, if you will. So
you essentially just said I'm not a great guest. I caught that. Don't you worry.
Not what I said. I said you. I mean, we're moving on. We're moving on to things that are important. I'm not going to humor you in your nonsense. Let's start here. So Devin Booker, I got a little bit of flack for this because I talked about Devin Booker being unhappy. I never once said he was unhappy with the Phoenix Suns organization. I didn't say he was unhappy with being a Phoenix Sun. I said, and I thought I laid it out pretty clear, I think I do that decently well, was my opinion was Devin Booker was upset because he has to do the thing all over again. He was in the good graces of the NBA. In our Locked On Top 100 list, he came in here, Espo, at 18th, which I thought was just a little low for a guy who has actually been to a finals and won games in finals where he had back-to-back 40-point games, or at least in one of those games he did. He's already done the thing. He's already done the winning. A lot of other players haven't done that. I think he's pissed off that he's been forgotten about because he hasn't been in the playoffs, but we're going to put Donovan Mitchell ahead of him in a lot of different rings, even though he's been the one seed in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference and hasn't made it to the Western Conference Finals or Eastern Conference Finals either time. So what's your take on that? Is it just a more serious version of Devin where he feels like, I got to be the leader here amongst a bunch of kids?
I don't think he gives a damn about those ratings. I don't think it's anything other than if you looked across media day, and I was sitting there, row 2, watched everybody come through. They have a very business-like mentality this year. And I think it's just that simple. Don't need to laugh along with anything. Doesn't matter that it's media day. It's not chuckles and ha-ha. We're here to do a job, and that's what we're locked in to do. And that is what Book seemed like. This guy's progressed over the years. He was he was that happy-go-lucky 18-year-old kid when he walked in. Now he's a hardened vet, and I think we've seen it each year that like he's not here for the dog and pony show. He doesn't care what stupid question I'm going to ask him at media day. What he cares about is what's this work going to look like in training camp, and that's what each and every one of these guys seemed focused on: is what are we going to do on the court? How do we get better? How do we surprise people? And I think it's as simple as that. I think he was more stoic than upset.
Stoic is interesting. I just thought it was something that when people kind of pointed out, he doesn't look, not as excited to be there. Now, listen, am I excited to go to every different work event at like my normal 9 to 5? Like, probably not, but it's also just a little different in obviously the spaces that we're in. But with Booker as well, like moving on to the basketball side of it, because I just thought that was an interesting conversation just to quickly have. What is fair to expect of Devin Booker this year? Because I think it's pretty clear he's not a 1. I think there's like, and that's no shade at Devin Booker. It's like in the NFL. Yeah, there's 5 elite quarterbacks in the NFL. There's 6 to 8 superstars, in my opinion, in the NBA. Can Booker find a way to put on the cape in the regular season, which is different in the playoffs, and just go supernova and take this team to the playoffs? And when I mean playoffs, like a play-in spot? Or is it just we're going to get Devin Booker, who's going to, average, let's just take one of his years before those guys showed up in 2020, 2021. 26 points, 38% from 3. That might be a little high. We'll probably call it 36 from 3, 46% from the field. Like, is that the Devin Booker we're going to get? Or do you think with the other 2 guys gone, it's going to be a different version because he's going to have the ball in his hands much more?
Well, let me clarify something. When you say he's not a number 1, are you saying he's not a number 1 option in the NBA? What are you getting at with that?
That's a good thing to specify. I believe that 95% of NBA seasons, 90% of NBA seasons, you need to have a superstar on your team in order to win a championship. So I believe if you have one of those, you can win a championship. So like Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the elites of the NBA that if you have on your team, it doesn't matter what you have around you, you can qualify to try to win a championship. That's what I mean. If Devin Booker's your 1, you're probably not getting to a championship is the point that I'm putting out. Or you're probably not winning one, I guess I should say.
No, I mean, I think it matters who you put around him, because you could argue 2021, he was the 1 and had 1B next to him in Chris Paul, and they came pretty damn close to winning it all. What I expect from Book this year, I think he's going to be a top 10 scoring points per game. I think he's going to be a top 10 assist guy. Again, I think he's actually going to be in the conversation for scoring title as long as he plays the qualifying number of games. This is a guy that hasn't lost anything. He sacrificed things over the last few years based on roster makeup. Right or wrong, whether he should have or he shouldn't have, that's what's happened over the last few years. And this narrative that he took a step back, I think, is insanity to me. I think he deferred to guys, and he picked up in terms of the passing and doing those things. That's not going to go away, but I think the scoring load's going to go up. I think we're talking 29, 30 points a game if this team is going to do anything other than be last in the West, and then I think he's going to have 6 or 7 assists a game. This is the evolution of Devin Booker: the ability to score, the ability to pass. Guess what he has this year that he didn't have the last 2 years? An actual offensive system that's going to flow, that isn't going to put him in the position to have to get double teamed constantly before having an option to get rid of the ball. There's been no motion in this offense over the last few years. There's been no activity. That's going to go away. Jordan Ott, everything we've heard is this guy is a sicko when it comes to basketball and developing systems. I think he's going to come out and you're going to see an offense that works better, even though it's not as good as the parts that it had last year, right? There's no denying this is a less on paper, a less talented, at least top heavy team from last year, but coaching can make the difference. this is an offense that I think we will actually see maybe have more success than the last few years, even though it's not as talented from an offensive player standpoint. So I'm not worried about anything in particular when it comes to this to Devin Booker. I think he will play very well. I think they will be in the discussion for a play-in. I think they'll have more wins than last year.
More wins than last year.
Yes.
Their over under right now is 33.5. I know that that's the betting line, but so you'd hammer that.
Yeah, I would.
They play in a Western Conference, man, that I don't know. If I picked out 7 teams right now off the top of my head, I'd be like, yeah, they're not favored in any of those games. So,
but that's the thing. This is a team that doesn't need to be favored. This is a team with youth, with energy that will play the spoiler role, that'll catch teams off guard on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of a week, because these teams don't necessarily care about the regular season. Now, I'm not saying come a playoff run or a play-in run that they'd be better than these teams, but we know the reality of the NBA. Certain top-heavy teams don't give a crap about a Tuesday game against the Phoenix Suns, but every game, Dillon Brooks, Devin Booker, and Jalen Green are going to come out caring because they want to prove everybody wrong. That's the difference from the last 2 years in this. Your motivation is to prove people wrong, not go out there and live up to the standard that's set for you.
Yeah, that's you've been listening to Locked On Phoenix Suns. I've said basically that same thing numerous different times where I was like, they might lose the game to the Oklahoma City Thunder, but my thing is like, Oklahoma City isn't going to pay attention to Phoenix, but they're going to come into Phoenix on a Tuesday night, say to themselves, all right, we can coast this game, and they might win 94-89, but they're going to walk into the arena saying, well, hell, this was supposed to be an easy game, and they're going to walk out of that realizing that this team's better than people think, not worse. So that's a good point if we're just fighting back on that on how good they'll be this year. I also want to turn it to Devin Booker and Jalen Green. We haven't talked, you and I, about what it's going to look like, our confidence level in it, compare notes. So let's do that next. First, today's show brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. Listen, man, I got to tell you guys, 5 Hour Energy, pretty great thing to at least, have in your back pocket when you're, just tired, want to go do things when you've been up late the night before. So listen, caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot pack packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and, even better, 0 crashes. What I love most is about how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get the boost when you need it. Listen, I'm not a big energy drink guy. I'm not a super big coffee guy. One, because they just don't taste very good. That's the difference when it comes to 5 Hour Energy. A couple weeks ago, I told you guys on my fantasy football trip, we go out of town, we spend some time up in the woods, draft our teams, go golf. Well, the problem is I'm up till 3 a.m. every night with those guys. So, the next day, pound of 5 Hour Energy, feeling pretty good about myself. So enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love, or be bold and try something new in-store, online at www.5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. Here with my guy, Greg Esposito, GM of PHNX Sports, as well as host of Southwest Bias. We're breaking all things down the Suns. A little bit of a preview show, but I don't want to give away all my takes. We got to save those a little bit. But you and I haven't discussed a little bit enough about Jalen Green and Devin Booker. So this is one of the things that, listen, I'm getting flack online, from Katie at times, or, Marvin Harrison Jr. is favoriting my stuff because him and I are going at it. Kyler Murray and I. Kyler Murray, he's got me blocked on all social media platforms. We don't get along super well, just as I thought we were getting tight. But, this is sometimes the takes are a little bold, I think. And so tell me about this one if you think it's a little bold. I like Jalen Green. This is where you butter him up just to kind of cut him down a little bit. I like Jalen Green. I like the athleticism of Jalen Green. I like what he can do defensively for the Suns. And I think when I say this, people think I'm saying Jalen sucks. That's not the case. I worry about the fit with Devin Booker because he's not a good 3-point shooter, and he's not efficient either. He gets to the rim he gets to the rim fine. Finishing at the rim can be an issue for him. Shoots the free throw fine. I think he can be a plus defender, not an elite defender, with the team that's around them now with a lot of length and just bigger players. Where are you at just from a general sense when it comes to Jalen Green and Devin Booker? Do you think it's just going to fit seamlessly? Or do you think by February, like myself, you're like, that can get a little weird? Because on one end, man, I do think Booker and Green together can be a sort of tandem that, if it works out, can be one of the better backcourts in the NBA. The problem is it feels a little too much like oil and water between the two guys who just play the game at a different type of level. What do you think?
Well, let's be honest. We looked at on paper and we thought the last 2 years would work, basketball wise without much of, without much issue, right? And it didn't. So I don't know. On paper, does it look a little confusing? Sure. But it's going to depend on the system that Jordan Ott puts in. And they continually make the point, there aren't any real point guards in the NBA left except for that guy that's, pushing 40 in a Clippers uniform. So why are we all obsessed with the thought that one of these guys has to be a true point guard? It's about, do you have multiple guys on your roster that can actually, distribute the ball? Do you have a system that takes advantage of the strengths of each guy there? And I asked Jordan Ott that specifically on media day, and he was like, hey, it's about putting them in positions to succeed, utilizing the talents that they have. If they can do that, I think they can work. Cleveland's backcourt didn't necessarily make a lot of sense on paper, but in practice, it looks real well, or in a game when you actually put it out there on the court, in a game and running that system and that's where I think this is all going to matter is, does Jordan Ott build a system around their strengths that take advantage of it and put them both in positions to succeed? I think Jalen Green's athleticism, ability to get the rim is something that we haven't seen next to Book in a way that we've wanted in the past. We thought maybe Bradley Beal could be that guy. He sure as hell wasn't. I think there's an opportunity that this does actually work. And if it doesn't, but Jalen Green continues to play well offensively, I think you could find somebody that would be interested in him. But I don't think we're going to get to that point. I think they figure out how to make this work.
Do you think they brought in Jalen Green with the idea of this is going to be our foundation, one of our foundational cornerstones, especially at the hybrid point guard, shooting guard position, which I totally agree with you. I never bought into this idea that this team needs to bring a point guard into the fold because it's just a different level of NBA. I think I told you this. I coined the phrase of the Steve or the Steve Nash syndrome in Phoenix, where every era of Suns fan has had a point guard, and Kevin Johnson, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Stephon Marbury kind of played the one a little bit too. Chris Paul was here. I think just we've been so used to that we haven't needed that. But do you think Jalen Green will, they brought him in here to be one of the franchise cornerstones, or do you think they brought him in here to try to rebuild his value, to maybe flip him and find a different running mate to Devin Booker? Because gosh, I know you brought up Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, but I would love the pairing of Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, just because Garland shoots the 3-point shot at a much more efficient clip than Jalen Green does. But sorry, long-winded there, but I'll let you take that.
I don't think they brought him in with the thought that we'll trade him right away. If they were gonna, they probably would have attempted to do it this summer. We did not hear anything to that sort. Every conversation I've had with Brian Gregory or anybody within the organization, it feels like they believe in this kid, and that they really think that he and Devin Booker can succeed next to each other. Now, when you see it, when games happen, and if it doesn't feel right, yeah, of course, you look at it and you go, he's 23. Was, one of the top scorers on the second best team in the Western Conference last year. You can find value if you need to turn around and move him, but I don't think they're looking at it with the thought, hey, we're going to have to try to move this kid. I really don't think that that's the case here.
Jalen Green, also mentioned that he's working on his in-between game, which kind of gave everyone the Jalen Green is going to become more of a mid-range jumper. I know that this is kind of a open-ended question, but the second I heard that, and this is nothing like I hate talking ill about Jalen Green because the comment section gets riddled with I hate Jalen Green, which is just nonsense. Like if Jalen Green succeeds, it's great for everyone. But he had mentioned this, and Jalen Green shooting the ball from the mid-range, it's bad everywhere. Like from the right side, from kind of elbow in, I probably should have screenshotted this, but he's 36% from the right side, 32% from right in the middle, 34% from the left side, 30%, from lower left side. Like he's a bad mid-range jumper. He'd be a guy that would take a lot of them and doesn't hit them at a super efficient clip. And honestly, I think it'd be bad for the team. Like, let's say he became really good at the mid-range jump shot. Like, yeah, if he becomes DeMar DeRozan, like that's a different conversation. But if he shoots the mid-range jumper, like if that's his new calling card, like that's not what I want with Devin Booker. I need someone that can hit the three-point jumper and complement what Booker does and the drive and kicks out to Jalen Green. What is kind of your thought process on this? Or is it just Jordan Knott's going to have a system that's going to make all of our heads spin?
I think you're reading way too much into a comment made at Media Day because
yes, I am.
Okay.
That is literally my job right now.
you literally bring up how bad he is at mid-range jumpers. Now
he's bad.
If a guy's working on something to improve his game in the summer, where do you want him to focus? Where he's not very good, right? If he told you I practiced dunking on fools all summer, you'd say you already knew how to do that. Why are you doing that? You have a guy practice where he's not good. So
he's
of course
a bad
he worked on
three-point shooter.
Of course, maybe he worked on that too, but he's a bad mid-range shooter. So he went out there and he worked on his mid-range game. Like, yeah, you want a guy to work where he's not good. He didn't say, Jordan Knott told me the only thing I'm shooting is mid-range jumpers in this offense. He said he worked on something he wasn't good at. Like, it's like somebody says to me, hey, Espo, you look fat. And then I go, well, I'm on a diet, and they're like, why are you on a diet? Because I have to work on my weight. Yeah, that's why.
I'm sorry, that's really funny.
What do you want him to say? I worked on painting my nails this summer. Like, what do you want from him? He worked on what he's not good at.
My problem is he doesn't shoot the three-point shot at a very efficient clip. This dude shot 8 3-pointers a game last year. He hit 35% of them. That's a really inefficient clip.
Hold on. Devin shot like 36. We're arguing over a percentage point here and telling him he's crap.
No. Don't you dare.
Maybe he cuts down on the volume of them.
Exactly.
But okay, fine. You know where that volume goes? Maybe the mid-range. So he needed to work on it. What do you want from this guy? Like, he also played on a team that had nobody that played offense real well. Of course he was taking all sorts of shots.
That is true. Okay, you know what?
If he shoots 8 3-pointers with Devin Booker on his team, then we can have this conversation and ask, what the hell was he doing? Or if he shoots 16 mid-range jumpers.
Just so we're clear, I've consistently said on the show, Devin Booker's a worse three-point shooter, not a better. That's why I want him to complement Devin Booker and not become the next Kevin Durant mid-range assassin. Like, that's what I was worried about.
Become bad three-point shooting.
On 8 of them, that's not great. That's not great three-point shooting. 35, by the way. That's an inefficient clip.
We are about shooting 8 of them. Yes, that's inefficient. All right, but go look at who you're playing with.
That is true. Okay. All right. Well, 2 segments down, 1 to go. Hopefully I don't get yelled at in this one. Dillon, the villain, his arc is here in Phoenix. And let's talk about him a little bit, his presence and who can benefit the most out of it. Next. But first, today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season is here. FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss right now. New customers can bet just $5 and you'll get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. we've been doing some Cardinals odds to kind of give you guys, an idea of what that could work. The Cardinals are massive favorites next week at home against Tennessee, who is reeling. They've lost 4 straight games. Brian Callahan's an idiot. Cam Ward doesn't look great so far. The Cardinals minus 9.5 point favorites. That's a massive spread for a team that can't score points. I would probably take the Titans to cover that, but the Cardinals, you don't have to do that. Just pick the Cardinals to win. I think the Cardinals, should win that game fairly easily, but that's a good way to place your $5 and try to get $300 in bonus bets. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, in the third segment of Benjamin Garcia of Locked On Phoenix Suns gets yelled at, let's go over to Dillon.
Why do you invite me? Because inevitably you're like, oh, all Espo does is yell at me. Well,
it's great. Do you know how many times, whether it's the Ben Garcia show or Locked On Suns, people just want to come in here and scream at me? Like, you are the voice of the people. I'm just this guy up here screaming into the ether.
Don't tell the internet that. Anyways, continue.
Dillon Brooks has really shaped in a new presence of the Phoenix Suns. I think is like the mascot of what the Suns are trying to do this year. One of the things that I was hoping we would get out of Media Day, and we did, was the new identity of the Phoenix Suns. Oftentimes in Brian Gregory's opening presser, when Matt Ishbia was there, like, we'd get some adjectives, but we wouldn't get exactly what we think the Suns team is going to be. I think it's pretty clear that the Suns are going to be an aggressive, gritty, they're going all out on defense team. And Dillon Brooks, I think, is the mascot of this. Like, he might, have 5 fouls a game, but he's going to make you feel every single one of them. Tough, gritty player. Love him when he's on your team. Hate him when he's not. What do you expect Dillon Brooks to bring to this team this year for the Suns? And who do you think it's going to influence, not the most, but the best?
He is the archetype of what they want a Phoenix Sun to be. Always work hard, have an edge, not put up with crap from anybody or anything. And I think it'll be a positive influence across the board. I think it'll impact Devin, because you're going to see that passion. You're going to see that energy that he's going to feed off of Dillon Brooks. Ryan Dunn is going to, I think, learn a lot of things from Dillon Brooks. I think Colin Gillespie was the guy he was talking about that, maybe the mini villain that he had out there with him. You go watch the footage from practice, from training camp. I believe it was today that the Suns put out there, Sunday that the Suns put out there. This guy is already the ringleader out there. He's not letting these guys get away easy in practice. He's making them work for everything. And that is what they've said from day one of this offseason that they've wanted from this Suns team. And I think he's the blueprint of doing it. And I think it's going to permeate throughout the group.
Out of those guys, so we both agreed that we thought it was Colin Gillespie, the mini villain thing. That just makes sense. I think he fits the archetype of a guy like Dillon Brooks, who passed over, smaller dude, took a while to get his first contract. Like, Dillon Brooks, I think everywhere has been a trendsetter of winning. Oregon Ducks went to the Final Four. Grizzlies, multiple playoff appearances. Then he went over to the Rockets, got better from a 3-point, shooting percentage, helped take the Rockets to the playoffs. Who do you think, out of like Colin Gillespie, like being, that guy, I think there's someone in Rasheer Fleming that could learn a lot from the Dillon Brooks experience, and I think would mean the most to this team. Meaning, if Gillespie takes on the Dillon Brooks role and, wants to play the mini villain role, like, totally fine. It's only going to help the Suns. But the Suns have a massive hole at the 4 spot on this team. Like, I like Ryan Dunn. I'd like him better as my 3, not my 4. Rasheer Fleming is 6'9" with a 7'3" wingspan. Shoots the 3-point ball pretty effectively, but has the archetype and the body to be one of the best defenders in the NBA. Do you think that that's going to rub off from Dillon Brooks to Rasheer, or because they are kind of different players and different archetypes, it's probably not going to happen, and it's going to affect better, guys like Ryan Dunn and Gillespie a little bit more?
I don't know. I mean, you can learn attitude and approach from anybody, whether your games like it or not. I mean, Tyson Chandler was one of the guys that took Devin Booker under his wing his rookie year. PJ Tucker, the same way. They're not the same type of player, but you can learn that work ethic. You can learn how to be a professional. You can learn an edge from guys like that. I think it will have an impact on all the young guys. Rasheer Fleming, Kaman Malawach, even Kobe Brea, all these guys that are younger in this group, Oso and Dunn included, I think will learn a lot from being around him. I don't want to put too much expectation on Rasheer Fleming in year one. I don't know that how much you're going to get out of him. If you're playing him a whole lot, he's either completely surprised or you're really in a worse place than you thought. I think is where you're going to be with that. So immediate impact, I don't know. Long-term impact, I'm sure that it will influence how Rasheer Fleming plays throughout his career as being around a guy like that in his rookie season.
And just really quickly, because you put out a really interesting tweet about Nigel Hayes Davis. There was like 10 people left in the crowd, and in full transparency, I don't know if I'd stay there for Nigel Hayes Davis because I've done numerous things on him, player profile. Like, I don't see where he's going to play a lot on this team, because if you're talking about him or Rasheer Fleming playing, I'm just going to go with the younger player and figure out what I have in him than what I think I already know I have in Nigel Hayes Davis. I mean, I know this is kind of a flip-flop from the Dillon Brooks stuff, but where do you think he's going to play and how often?
I think he's going to play at the 4. I mean, you said that's where their biggest hole is.
Yeah.
I think there's an outside chance he starts at the 4.
So Ryan Dunn goes to the bench because you're not. Yeah, I don't think you're seeing Brooks.
I think you would slide Dunn to the bench if that happens. But this guy didn't come over here because he thought, I'm just going to be the tail end of the bench and I'm going to help mentor kids. I mean, he just had a massive year in Europe. He was not going to come over here if there was not a shot for him to have quality playing time. And so I think he's going to earn every minute that he gets out there. And he's again, another guy that is kind of the archetype of what they want. The guy that is going to go out there and fight for everything because none of it was given to him, right? I think they're going to want all these guys, Rasheer Fleming, all the young guys, to earn their minutes. Same reason why you've got Mark Williams and Nick Richards at center, even though you drafted Kaman Malawach, right? Because they want these guys to earn it, not be given it. And we've seen here in Phoenix, when guys are given it, it doesn't always work out no matter how high you're drafted. Go back and look at the dark decade. Devin Booker wasn't handed anything. He earned everything.
Yeah, that's true.
But there were a lot of guys that were handed it that did not wind up panning out. I think they want these young guys to earn it. And I think Nigel Hayes Davis is one of the guys they're going to have to go through if they want to earn it.
He fits the archetype. I just wonder. I get what you're saying. But man, you traded up for Rasheer Fleming. But it's a good point too, because I didn't think of it like that. Booker, didn't burst on the scene right away. It was actually some injuries that allowed him to play a little bit more, and then he burst on the scene, which was always just kind of crazy to me. Like, you didn't see this kid in practice. You didn't think he needed to play sooner. But either way, Greg Esposito.
Hold on, they traded up for Kaman Malawach too, right? And they're not. I mean, there's a chance that he's actually third on your depth chart to start the season at center, right? I don't think that it's just hand anybody anything. Yeah, sure, you traded up to 31 for Rasheer Fleming. That says that you like what he has skill-wise. It doesn't mean that you want him playing major minutes out the gates right now, because it seems like they still have their eyes set on trying to compete for a play-in to start. Now, maybe that's not where you finish, but I think that's where they're looking at right now.
Greg Esposito, PHNX Sports General Manager, host of Southwest Bias, weekdays at 11 a.m. Be sure to check him out over there, as well as, he'll come over here every now and then, say what's up, fight with me a little bit, spar with me, and that's what we like over here at Locked On Phoenix Suns. With that being said, guys, for everyone tuning in, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, Follow myself on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Follow Espo. It's very easy, at Espo. And until, what day is it? Today's Sunday. Until Monday night, Tuesday morning, I'm Benjamin Garcia. That's Greg Esposito. And it's been Locked On Phoenix Suns. Talk to you guys tomorrow.